is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
My dog's been taken. They're eating the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
We're going to be looking at it very strongly, with great strength. Some text and such from last night, Sarah. It's not getting less funny, to me, anyway. Sarah says, Hi, Nick, hi, Nick, says Sarah. I thought of you earlier this week when hearing Matthew Pennycook on Nick Ferrara's show. He used the phrase, I have been clear that.
Oh, no.
And I cringed so hard my toes curled, says Sarah. Any idea how to make it stop? I don't know. Maybe they've caught whatever it is that's going around number 10. Maybe when
this government
exited the door, they left some sort of disease behind them where everybody's very clear about something. Next, they'll be forgetting everything.
No, I don't recall that, and I don't recall. You know, I can't specifically recall.
No, he can't specifically recall anything at all. Specifically. When they start forgetting things, like their mobile phones, then you'll know that they've caught the lurgy. Keith says, I've decided to join Springfield Immigrants and I'm going to eat my neighbour's dog. That is, before it eats me. I wonder what sauce you'd recommend for an XL bully. Catsup. That works in America. We don't call it catsup here, but it's the only one I could think of. Catsup, all over it. Text from Tina in Okay, so this is written out phonetically. Ebbovale. Ebboovale. Not even close. Text from Tina in Ebbw Vale. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. I discovered a great new word this week. Don't worry, it's not rude. From 1813, it's shabbaroon. It means a scruffy, dishevelled and often rude fellow. So that Johnson fellow is nothing but a shabbaroon. Does that work, says Tina? Absolutely.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, scruffy, dishevelled and often rude. And don't forget the lying part. Liar! There's that too. This text says, I think somebody... By the way, has anybody at all actually paid to read that man's words? Anyone? This text says, I think someone needs to ask Trump on camera who is more important, him or Jesus. His narcissism will not allow him to say anything else but himself. That should lose some of the evangelical vote. I bet it doesn't. Not one single solitary vote I bet he would lose by saying that he's more important than Jesus.
You know, nobody has done more for Christianity. Nobody has done more for religion of all type than me.
I mean, he said that. That's not me editing other things that he said into him saying that. He actually said that and didn't lose a single vote among the evangelical community. Nobody has done more for religion of any kind than me, said Donald Trump. Buy my Bible. It's the best Bible you'll ever see. God came to me and he said, sir, he said, this is the best Bible I've ever seen. I said, thank you. This text says someone needs to ask... No, I read that one. This one, it's obvious what happened with Trump. His advisors told him to use a dead cat argument, and being Trump, he didn't quite understand. Nick, do you think that flying across the world for a 45-minute meeting is irresponsible? Yes. Yes, I do. And it wasn't going to be a 45-minute meeting, as I said yesterday. I mean, if he was scheduled in for 45 minutes, then at the very most, he'll probably have like 10 minutes. 10 minutes for a chit-chat that could have been done on the phone. They could have exchanged an email, and it would have covered the same points. The first 15 minutes is trying to explain to Joe Biden who Sir Dower Starmer is. And the photo call at the end, that'll take another 10 minutes. So the actual talking part must have been about 10 minutes tops. What on earth for? Aren't there problems in this country that need to be corrected? Dave in Cheshire says, up in Glasgow for the weekend, it's raining cats and dogs here. Somebody should tell Haiti so they can send their murderers, their rapists... Hang on. Somebody should tell Haiti they can send their murderers, their rapists and their criminals for all you can eat. That sounds like dinner to me. How many more of these have I got? Are they starting to come in already from today? Oh, I'll never keep up. This text says, Nick, the dingalings do have a point. Their political system is corrupt. Policy is bought and sold by corporations and PACs. The minimum wage hasn't gone up in decades. Trump is absolutely not the answer. He is the swamp. But Democrats are mostly corporatists too, so MAGA America isn't completely wrong. They are righteously angry at being swindled, but are easily misled and casually prejudiced. It's a toxic combination historically. More of the same won't cut it. Well, I'm afraid that they are going to get more of the same over and over and over again until they like it. Here's a caller in Moira. Is that a name or a place?
Hello, it's a place.
There's a place called Moira?
Yes, there is.
And you're called Jacqueline?
I am, yes.
Moira, I never heard of it. Where is it?
It's Earth-on-Trent.
Oh, it sounds a delight. Is it?
It is. It's very upmarket.
Oh, well, I don't know why you're calling a show like this then.
Oh, no, you're fantastic.
I am what, like science fiction, you mean?
No. Absolutely fantastic. Me and my best friend think you're amazing.
Well, thank you and your best friend. Well, I'm just looking at a picture of Moira right now. It looks moist. You've got you've got a canal running through it, don't you?
It is, yes, that's correct.
You've got trees and buildings and everything. Wow, I'm thinking of relocating. So what's up, Jacqueline?
You. Hello, it's just, I wanted to say, what did you think to the state of the Labour Party? Because I actually voted for them this time.
You're very what now?
What did you think to the state of the Labour Party?
Yeah.
Because I voted for them this time, and I think it was the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Oh, it's your fault?
It probably is.
Well, it's not nice of you to say it out loud and admit your mistake. So what is it about what the Labour Party has done since you voted for them that has disappointed you so?
It's the pension, for the pensioners, and it's also for, at the moment, I believe in the benefits as well.
They're doing what with the benefits?
They're basically going to cut them back.
Right. Now, why would that concern somebody in an upscale location as Moira?
Well, I live in a council house.
Right. So not that upscale then?
No, it is in the centre of Ashby.
Right.
But I live on the outskirts.
Oh, the outskirts. Right. Well, you should have said that, yeah. So I think that it's a little bit too early to tell, but there's some indications that they aren't going down the route that, let's say, your average Corbynista would approve of.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Well, I agree.
I agree.
I agree too.
I agree too. And may I also ask, is it possible to wish my friend Kieran Parkin a happy birthday?
No.
40th. Can you not? It's happy 40th birthday.
Happy 40th birthday. Yeah, no, we don't do birthdays.
Oh,
yeah,
do you not? Do you not?
And furthermore,
yeah,
no, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
No,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What a nice lady. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, is anybody disappointed with the state of the nation so far? It's been, 9 short weeks, and they still haven't fixed everything that the Tories broke over 14 years. I am furious. Hey, it's the last night of the proms this evening. Did you know that?
Rock and roll!
Yeah, probably not. Probably escaped your attention. The last night of the proms, and the nation is calm and collected, and barely a murmur of fake patriotic fury about rainbow flags is to be heard. Is that because the Clacton gas bag is off on another money-making tour of America to represent Essex on the world stage? I just note a distinct lack of fury in the air, don't you? No puce protesters hyperventilating about an EU pennant or some show of inclusivity. Where's the rage against the woke? Where are the articles fulminating at the slogan on some leftist T-shirt? It's almost as though without their ringleader bellowing about remoaners that the purple-faced Fury Brigade don't actually care what goes on at a concert they aren't going to and won't watch on TV. Who'd have thought? 0345 6060 973. I have to get through these messages from last night. Chris in Leicester says, I bet you're a Swiftie now. I think the Taylor effect, coupled with women's tendency to use their vote, may save the day yet. Her timing was perfect. Talking about the world's most fabulous person, Taylor Swift. I still don't think that I've actually heard any of her music, not knowingly. I mean, it's probably been played in a shop when I've been in there, but I haven't been paying attention because I've been, too busy fondling fruit or vegetables or, whatever else takes my fancy. But, Taylor Swift says she's Taylor Swift says that... Shall I start that again?
No.
Forget it. Les in Eltham says, Trump isn't the so-called money candidate. He might have money, but the powerful banks in the US, etc., are rooting for the Democrats and business as usual, says Les in Eltham. Yeah, that's what the world's richest person, Elon Musk, says, Les. You're an idiot, Les. I mean that in a positive way. And Jerry says, Nick, I hope this is worth a mention. The sad passing of British TV actor Kenneth Cope. Kenneth Cope. Anybody? Anybody at all? Now, I wouldn't have got this. Now, in fact, I'm going to have to look it up live on the air because I don't want to make a mistake. And, yes, that's right, died on the 11th. What date is it now? It's the 14th now, so it's 3 days ago. Kenneth Cope was either Randall or Hopkirk. I can't remember which it was, but that's one of those classic TV shows from the I'm going to say 60s, probably 70s. Randall and Hopkirk, brackets, deceased. Anybody remember that? That'll be on the, assuming that we get that far, that will be on the list of the A to Z at the end of the year. Assuming that we get that far and assuming that it actually happens. Assuming that World War III doesn't start and this country is sunk by a nuclear tsunami delivered to us by Vlad the Insaner. They keep threatening that. They keep saying, don't go across this line, otherwise we'll nuke you. And the entire world steps neatly over that line. And he said, OK, well, this line then, or we'll nuke you.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
I don't give out my number to anybody.
0345 6060 973. This text says, Nick, I am outraged that immigrants are eating our cows, pigs, chicken and sheep. Have they no respect for our way of life? I didn't know that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Plymouth. Hello, Stuart.
Hiya.
Stuart.
All right.
Yes, good, thanks.
Good. I just wanted to make... So I'm guessing you're a Labour supporter.
A woke lefty? Yes.
You are a woke lefty, yeah. So I went to school with Mr. Starmer, and he's absolutely useless.
What was what nickname did he have at school?
He didn't have a nickname, but I did see him getting beaten up by a friend of mine called Matthew Wiley. Well, to say beaten up would be a bit unfair.
Right.
It was a full-on punch-up. Mm-hmm. Matthew could handle himself, and actually Matthew's a nice guy, but I don't know what caused it.
He doesn't sound like a nice guy.
Well, it depends why he was punching him, doesn't it?
Well, I'd like
to punch him myself right now, frankly, because he just took 300 quid off my mother. I'm not very happy about it.
I wouldn't try that, Stuart. He is surrounded by people who would give you a strong defence.
No, I'm sure, yeah. I'd still like to, though. But, he just took 300 quid off my mother I'm not too happy about. Mm-hmm. And then he lets thousands of prisoners out of prison, who some of them are already back in. One of at least, I think, has been reported some serious sexual assault charge on the same day he was released.
All right. Can I deal with these points as we go along?
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
well, the £300 thing, the Tories were going to do that anyway. That was a part of their manifesto. They were going to means test the winter fuel allowance. And it also seems like something of a sticking plaster to give pensioners in this country £300 just in order for them not to freeze to death over winter. Wouldn't it have been better in the 14 years that the Tories were in power to actually give pensioners in this country a decent pension?
Well, it's no good keep throwing it back at the Tories all the time, is it? I mean,
are you kidding me? They've just run this country for 14 years.
Yeah, and they had to deal with COVID, Brexit, and Ukraine overlapping.
They didn't have to deal with Brexit. They gave us Brexit.
No, I gave you Brexit. Yeah,
what?
They gave us the chance to vote for it. right? So,
right. And how's that going? How's that going? It's not. It wasn't a democratic vote at all. First of all, it was only advisory, and second of all, Russia inserted itself into the process, and third of all, the people that won cheated their faces off by spending much more than they were legally allowed to do.
Right. Whatever.
I'll come back to you in a second. I just want to steeple myself in that answer just for a moment. I just want to sort of relax into that answer. Yeah, whatever. Are you bothered? Okay, I think I'm ready to restart our conversation, Stuart.
Well, all right. What you're talking
you haven't stopped talking, have you? Okay, back with you now.
You're back with me now, yeah?
Yes. I just had to enjoy that moment just for a little bit.
Okay. Right, so...
Even worse. It just got even worse. Had Mr. Angry on the phone. He was absolutely furious. Wanted to get a lot of points out, but he didn't want any interruption of any kind whatsoever. And whatever was about the level of it. Moan.
Stop whining.
Yeah. These people that think that Keir Starmer, in the 9 weeks that he's been in charge, should have fixed all of the problems that have been caused in the last 14 years. I mean, that's just absolutely infantile. Come on, people. What are you talking about? And I knew this was going to happen. I told you loads of times before the election that this would happen, when it looked like Skier was going to win. I told you that all of these right-wing foamers were going to be blaming all of the ills that have been caused by 14 years of misrule.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, by...
this government.
By that government. And that if he hadn't fixed them on day 2, that they were going to blame him personally for everything that was wrong with this country. Yeah, and... he sounded exactly like the kind of person that delivered us the misery that is Brexit. Yeah, he's still angry about it, still flailing around trying to blame somebody else, as are all Brexiters. Their argument seems to come down to, well, the reason that Brexit hasn't worked out as we promised...
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes, and it would be very good for the British people, and it would provide certainty. And I think once there's certainty, the country will begin to reunite.
Like elongated chumps like that. Oh, don't you understand? Every single thing they said was a lie. Either they were ignorant when they were saying it, or they knew that they were lying to us and just hoped that we didn't understand that. And just enough people didn't. And everything that the Ramoners said was going to happen has come to pass. But, you know, these are just facts, and we're not interested in facts anymore, baby. We're interested in feelings. And how do you feel about Brexit?
Dreadful.
Yeah, most people think that it's just been dreadful. Yeah, still waiting for those sunny uplands. They'll come into view any moment now. Don't you worry about that. All you have to do is believe. Pfft. Yeah, whatever. I know that was very early in the show, but that I think I'm going to peg that as my favourite moment of the entire programme. I very much doubt I'll enjoy a moment more than that one. Yeah, whatever. Right, let's try another one, shall we? See what we get. Okay. Am I ready for this now? No, not quite. Jonathan in Harrow is on the phone. I think I'll come to him in just a moment. I don't think I could. My heart couldn't take that after the previous one. Not 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott show. So let's try this one. Cowbridge. Hello, Chris.
Good evening, Nick.
Yes, Chris. Whatever.
Whatever. Oh, my God, it sounded like Kevin from Harry and Phil.
It is. Yeah.
I've not been able to
so unfair.
Hello, Mrs. Patterson, how are you? That was, but I tell you, that was worth waiting for just to hear that one word.
It was worth driving in just for me to hear that. Yeah.
What an absolute moron.
Plank.
I mean, really, I wish the Tories had used that as part of their defence strategy during the election, that would have been awesome. Don't you think, Mr. Sunak, that your plan needs more details? Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Well, Boris Johnson had his own whatever, didn't he?
I can't comment on that.
Or in other words, whatever. Yeah.
Well, when he was at the dispatch box and they asked him about parties, he should have said, well, whatever.
Yeah. I think he did, but not in such a pithy way. Anyway, that's not why you called. Go ahead.
No, I tell you what I called for kind of pales into irrelevance after that. That is comedy gold. So the reason for me calling, this morning I was listening to Matt Fry, and he opened his show with a small clip of someone has actually put a song to Donald Trump's "They're Eating the Cats."
Well, I heard about 5 versions of various songs to "They're Eating the Cats and the Dogs and the Pets." Yeah.
Well, Matt Fry played a little excerpt. This song is actually now up on iTunes.
Is it?
And oh yeah, I mean it sounds professional. It's absolutely immense. It's awesome. I've not been able to stop playing it all day. It is literally, you said about your earworm.
Yeah.
It's now in there, and I realise, just for your information, the only way to get rid of an earworm is to actually listen to ABBA's Waterloo. That's the best cure.
Chirpy, Chirpy, Cheep, Cheep by, I think it was Middle of the Road, wasn't it? Ooh-wee, chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep. The problem with that is, though, you are replacing a bad song with an even worse one in your mind.
No, I'd just rather lose the will to live if I heard that song, anyway, especially singing it like that. But I don't know if you're allowed to play it. I mean, Matt played a bit of it this morning, but it is worthy of playing. It is absolutely incredible, this song. You can find it easily on YouTube as well. It's literally just Trump eating the cats.
It's on YouTube, is it? Well, yeah, I don't actually have it to hand, but I will investigate further later. How does that sound?
Fantastic. If you could play a little clip of it, because it is awesome, and it takes Trump exactly to where he needs to be.
To the top of the charts.
Which is the butt end of everyone's laughter.
Right, well, that's one thing that autocrats, authoritarians, like the least, is people laughing at them. Exactly. Which is why that weird tag irks him so much, and it's why it's stuck so much as well. Because in one word, they've really summed up the entire Republican Party. They're just weird. They're all just weird. I mean, have you ever seen people walking around and interviewing the people that are going into Trump's rallies? Because there's a lot of clips on those on YouTube as well. And every single person that you see waddling into a Donald Trump rally is the epitome of the word weird. They've all got something wrong with them. And you look at the people going into a Kamala Harris rally, and they all look weirdly normal. I mean, it's like the light and the dark. But I thank you for pointing me in that direction, Chris, and I'll see if I can sort that out for you later. All right. Not that I take requests on this show or anything, but leave it with me. Thanks a lot, mate. This text says, I saw a video of a MAGA support... Is this a text or is this from you? That's from the bloke behind the glass. Right. I saw a video of a MAGA supporter annoyed that Obama didn't do anything to stop 9/11. Yeah, me too. Yeah, when Barack Obama was in the White House, he didn't do anything to stop 9/11. Historians will be ahead of me already, but you might want to look up the date line for those two events, and it only made sense in his mind. We just want President Trump, those people. The stuff that's going on in the world, I mean, like whatever. Simon in Windsor says, reference youngsters and their iPhones. Did you see that Australia want to bang? They don't want to bang anything. They want to ban teenagers from using Facebook. What? Yeah, they want to rip those phones out of those kids' hands. And they're thinking about doing it in this country as well. Well, some schools actually are doing that. I'll come to that in a while as well. So much to talk about, so little time. Yeah, whatever. This text says, our NHS cannot go back to 14 years ago because we can't throw out millions of illegal migrants and benefit scroungers all queuing up for free NHS treatment. Is your tax sufficient to pay for such freebies? Says that texter, who gets all of his news from Nigel Farage's Twitter feed.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
At what point do we have to start paying for this? I think I'll dip it out there. It's available on YouTube.
My dog's been taken.
His dog's been taken. Somebody should look into that very strongly. Last night we were talking about the old way of doing finance, and this text says, "Hi Nick, I wrote a cheque out last year for our builder when he did our bathroom. I used my Mont Blanc fountain pen. He said he'd never seen such a beautifully written cheque before. I said, feel free to frame it rather than cash it. Alas, he declined." This one says, "Remember the days when there was a hole in the wall and it seemed like a miracle? I have to admit, though, I am 60 years of age..." Oh, I'm on the wrong page. One moment, please. 60 years of age. I embraced tech right from the start. Couldn't wait to have a brick phone in the early 90s, TV and music centre remote controls. Do you remember what a remote control was in the old days? A remote control was your children. "Oh, I don't think we want to watch this. What's on the other side?" my dad would say, which was my cue to get up and you had to walk over to the television and physically turn the knob.
Dreadful.
Can you imagine that? And the kids today are complaining. Plymouth. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Mark.
Hi. Yeah, I just... the chat earlier on, the whatever statement, I love it. It's like Donald Trump, when he gets confronted with something that's factual, he'll say just fake news and then come out with something that's fake.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring people's attention who might have been on another planet regarding Brexit and who think it's a good idea. But you know Richie Sunak worked for Goldman Sachs, don't you, between 2001 and 2015?
Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
And they're quite, you generally think a lot of people who work there are quite right-wing because they're, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the chief economist at Goldman Sachs said in an article in 2021, backed up by the Government of Office of Budget Responsibility, that we've lost 4% of our GDP since Brexit, which has cost the taxpayer £32 billion. So when that idiot rings in and talks about the whatever guy, which has made me laugh, I mean, he's entertained me, you think about how much money that has been taken out of the economy, the taxpayers' money, supporting something that was, in my view, arranged so we didn't have to conform to the rich squirreling their money away.
Now, I didn't think that I was going to. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be talking about this this topic today. No. But I did read in passing that we have just passed the point at which all of the money that we used to pay to be a member of the club for the entire time that the EU has been in existence, and we've been a member of it, we have just passed the point now where we have lost more money from being out of it than all of those years put together of the fee, if you want to put it like that, to be a part of it.
It's cost double the amount to our economy of the cost of Brexit. Of the cost of
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you talk to people like that guy who rang in, I've got a friend of mine who's a bit like it as well.
Yeah.
You give them facts from really good sources.
It just bounces right off them. No.
It reminds me of a child. I would say something really quickly and say no returns times 100.
yeah. Squitzes was the
I got my fingers crossed.
What we used to say. Yeah, squitzes meant you had your fingers crossed behind your back, and whatever you just said, you didn't mean. Yeah.
And I wonder if Donald Trump has heard maybe in the area someone's eaten a hot dog and got confused.
Well, confused, yes. Whether about the hot dog part, we just don't know. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Mark. They're taking the ducks. You believe that? Sally says, got to dispute your argument, Nick. Which argument? Oh, we were talking about old rock and rollers. All passing away. Not so far, but they will. Yeah, I was bringing the bad news that on the conveyor belt of life, all those rock and rollers who started in the 60s and we lived through all of that great stuff in the 1970s, they're all at the very edge of the conveyor belt of life, and they're all about to fall off the end of it together. We're going to go through a period when it's going to be absolutely miserable, because all of the old rockers that we grew up with, they're all going to expire at about the same time. Like the big ones, the really big ones. And I made the mistake last night of saying that, Bowie was the first really, really big one since Elvis. And since then, not a great amount. Not really, not of that ilk. And, of course, I've just been corrected. Sally says, got to dispute your argument that no one important died since Bowie. Well, I didn't say nobody important. I said nobody of that ilk. She says, I was only thinking what a terrible year 2016 was. In that year, we lost Prince, Rick Parfitt, Leonard Cohen, George Michael, Keith Emerson, Paul Kantner. It was a bad year for people in the arts generally. Alan Rickman, Victoria Wood, Caroline Aherne, Muhammad Ali, George Martin, Pete Burns, and then there's Brexit.
Dreadful.
Yeah. She almost got away without using the B word, but she inserted it right at the end. Oh, well. Better luck next time, Sally. Good point, well made. 0345 6060 973. It's Jonathan in Harrow. Harrow?
Yeah, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jonathan, how are you?
Oh, what a year it's been so far. I'm talking to you in a slightly hushed tone because
yes, you are.
I'm in a new place.
Oh?
I'm still in Harrow, but I won't tell you where exactly, but I'm on a hill.
Right, where exactly?
No, it's near, it's in the county of Harrow, but my house is actually on a hill.
Your house is on a hill?
When I go to the bathroom, I feel seasick because it's completely lopsided.
What, the house or?
Well, especially the bathroom. I had two tough men who delivered all of my thingies, and I could put in a walkie-talkie. Oh, I've said it already. I could put in a walkie-talkie complaint because one of them, he looked at my Buddha and he did a Chinese accent and he went, "You're heavy fatty," to my statue.
Are you absolutely sure it was to your statue?
Yeah, and then, but after he said that, as he was very smarty pants. I was telling him to take the bed into the bedroom, and he said, "Well, it's not going in the bathroom, is it, mate?"
No.
But then when he was coming back out, he tripped over the stairs because it's all on a hill, and his van was parked on my very new narrow road, and there were lots of, I think there may be old people on the benefits who are on mobility scooters, and they were all swearing at him, so I thought, serve him right, isn't it? But, no, listen, I will tell you something. I was listening to the alleged friend of Keir Starmer who was having the ding-dong with you, who said he went to the same school.
Oh, yeah.
And like him, no, I have to keep it down in the new place. Like him, I voted Brexit, I told you.
Right.
And I have suffered now because I'm struggling financially so much. I know normally I'm jovial with you. I like to think I'm sort of like a Dame Vera Lynn for the LBC.
Not
really.
I
keep the morale up. Mm-hmm. I tried to get on Matthew, what's the television chap, Matthew.
Oh,
Wright
yeah, Matthew,
show.
The television chap show, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the morning, and also Ali Mirza, but both of the receptionists said we'll call you back.
Yeah. And they didn't. I can't believe it.
There was no call back. But your secretary, he put me through today.
Yeah,
so
my receptionist, yeah.
But no, seriously, I was in Travel Lodge, I was in temporary accommodation, and I finally went to an Egyptian antique seller.
An Egyptian antique seller?
Yeah, he was a bit handsy, if I can put it that way.
Handsy?
Sort of lots of tapping and, grabbing arm and everything. And I said, listen, I'm going to be on the street if nothing else happens. So he said he had a 4-bedroom house. He said to me, Mr. Ranasinghe, I cut that bit out. He said, Jonathan, he said, I've got a 4-bedroom house on the hill. And he looked at my credit history and he said, he used the word credit unworthiness. I did.
Yes.
And I said, I've got no other option. So I had to write him out a big check, and it's a 4-bedroom house. And he said, how will you pay for the year's rent?
Yes.
And I said, listen, just trust me. And he signed a contract for a year with me. And now I'm in this 4-bedroom house, and Nick, I'm struggling financially.
Now, can I just establish that you're in the 4-bedroom house. You do have the ability to leave it, right? The locks haven't been locked from the outside.
Yeah, I had a tenancy for a year.
Right.
And every day I just go out and I buy paintings and furniture from charity shops.
Okay. Using all the money that you haven't got, yeah.
No, I'm struggling. But can I just make a few points on the Kamala and Keir Starmer quickly?
Okay.
Because, Kamala, I know on LBC now, we all have to say we love Keir Starmer very much. But we do. We have to say that. But Kamala, she's just got the energy that none of the Labour, the Labour, and this is not in a sexist way, okay? Mm-hmm. But the Labour front bench, the women they all look quite unpleasant and meany. But Kamala, no, it's true. She's a tough woman, but she's also she's so happy. She's always just laughing, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit too much laughter. Yeah, she's toned that down just a little bit.
I love it. I mean, the world is on fire, but she's always just so happy, And also the slightly elderly chap who is not elderly, but not spring chicken, the vice president.
Yeah.
Waltz, Tim Waltz?
Mm-hmm.
He's like a game show presenter. He's running up and down the stage. He's so full of life and energy. It's nice to see.
Yeah, some of that should get injected up the Labour Party front bench. You're absolutely right. They're all looking a bit dour.
I think so, but we can't criticise them because I know, Nick, and again I apologise to you because seriously, we need a big reset like the Bernie Sanders would have done because you are the only one who did not say all of those awful things about the man who was painted as the Marxist Gandalf.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marxist Gandalf, yeah.
And now Princess Diana Abbott in her book is writing about going to Karl Marx's grave with him.
Yeah, on a date, yeah.
Yeah, so I can apologise to you because I really wish, sort of, because I told you, I'm just financially ruined now. Mm-hmm. I haven't been on holiday since November. And now listen, my toilet got clogged up and I actually had to unblock it using my own hands.
Oh.
No, it's true. I can't afford the plumber. And also very quickly, can I say, now that I've restarted my boxing, I was trying to take my mind off things, but I haven't taken a business class flight since 2008. And one thing, can I end by saying that, Rishi Sunak, who I know you thought was an awful man, but I thought he was okay personally, but Rishi Sunak and all of these ultra-wealthy people, there's still a lot of ultra-wealthy people around because when you have a morbidly obese travel agent...
Yes.
Yeah. And he was showing me on his computer the website, and on the last time I went on holiday in November, it was excellent airline. I won't say which one.
Was it Emirates?
It was
British Airways? EasyJet? Etihad, right? Yeah. Without mentioning any brand names, yeah.
And he was showing me the website, and all of the business class and first class, which is £5,000 to Abu Dhabi, they're all pretty much sold out.
All sold out, yeah.
There's still money at the top, and, like the Donald Trump. Can I quickly, before I go, ask you one thing?
Yes.
I've been in my new house. I'll keep it down. I can't do it. Sorry. Because I can't afford to have to go on the street again.
No.
I've been watching your favourite television show. I bought £1.
You've been washing the television?
Yeah. I bought 2 £4 box sets.
2 £4 box sets, yes.
You said it is the best show of all time.
Which one?
The Sopranos.
The Sopranos?
Absolutely.
Yes, best show of all time. And?
Yes, before I go, my last question is, when I only worked this out when I was washing it, now that I have this huge house and I'm struggling financially, the old mother, when she says, the whole world's gone crazy, what's he got to be depressed about? That is on your soundboard, isn't it?
It's on my soundboard. I don't think so.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
No, I don't recall that.
Isn't there another one?
Not to my knowledge.
No, you said, what's he got to be depressed about?
What's he got to be depressed? No, I haven't got that one either.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Yeah.
So my last question was, do you have to pay royalties for those or not?
That was your last question. The previous question was your last question. and I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You know, some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it?
Ahmed and Leicester emails. Someone told me that if you rearrange the letters of the name Boris Kerfuffle Johnson, you get the words big, fat, adulterous liar. He says, I know you don't like doing homework, so I've double-checked this for you, and that is correct. Trust me, I'm a smart person. I'm like a smart person, he said. If you rearrange the letters of the name Boris Kerfuffle Johnson, you can get the words big, fat, adulterous liar.
Yeah. Wait.
Well, that just is anagrammatically correct, I think you'll find. South Norwood, hello, Philip.
Oh, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Philip.
A couple of points I wanted to make. First of all, I was watching YouTube tonight, and they had a live interview with Donald Trump's pastor.
Really?
Yeah, have you ever seen him?
No.
Well, he, to me, he looks like one of these evangelists that you see on American television on a Sunday morning.
Almost certainly. Well, give me $100 and I'll pray for you.
Well,
they were
talking about everything. He wasn't talking about anything religious. He was talking about how wonderful Donald was.
Yeah, that's right.
And also, he was saying about the cats and dogs, and he said it was true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I stood there looking. I thought to myself, I don't believe this. I mean, you know, you see people that American politicians and all these other things. You think to yourself, you know, it just I don't understand it. Or I'm sure I'm not alone.
No, there isn't anything to understand other than he's so far the world's greatest con man.
It was so scary. And the other thing, Nick, I was in the supermarket today, and I saw a sign that said that there was a competition, free competition to enter, and all you had to do was to send a text number and your name and address, and you could win the prize. The prize was twofold. You could win cash,
yes,
and the other part of the prize was your head in chocolate.
You had me at cash.
Yes, I thought to myself, I've never seen that before.
Now, does that mean that you insert your head into chocolate?
No, well, I presume that you get a private sitting.
Right.
And the person will make your head out of chocolate.
So they'll be using their hands all over the chocolate to the point that you really wouldn't want to put it in your mouth.
I suppose they might wear gloves. I don't know, where they were doing it. And the company was a sort of a peanut-orientated chocolate.
Right.
You see.
So, no, it's a definite no from me.
So you won't be... you also mentioned, Nick, about the sad news that we're losing all these pop stars. And
yeah, we will be soon.
Well, recently, Nick, I was doing a bit of research, and I found out. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the '60s. There was a guy called Barry Maguire.
Did you just ask me? Do I remember the '60s?
I'm not sure. I know how old you are, Nick.
Only
but
vaguely.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Do you remember Barry Maguire and the Eve of Destruction?
The Eve of Destruction, yeah.
Well, I found out he was still alive.
Really?
You see, he's in his 80s.
Must be.
And he had a website. So I sent him an email, you see, and asked him how it was. And he used to be in the New Christy Minstrels, who used to sing a song called Three Wheels on My Wagon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Three wheels on my wagon. I'm still a-rolling along.
That's it. That was Barry Maguire.
Right.
So I put in the email, have you still got two wheels on your wagon, you see? And I had a reply from his wife. And she said she'd read it to Barry, and he fell about laughing because he said, yes, he's still got two wheels.
That must be about the 100,000th time he's heard that.
Yes, I mean, so that he would have said, but yeah, it was great, that because the song, I played it again the other day on YouTube, because it was one of those unusual songs, wasn't it? Came out of nowhere. Was it the Vietnam draft that brought it about?
Oh, what, Two Wheels on My Wagon?
No, Eve of Destruction.
I have the lyrics in front of me right now. Leave it with me, Philip. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, mate. The Eastern world, it is exploding. Violence flaring, bullets loading. You're old enough to kill, but not for voting. You don't believe in war, but what's that gun you're toting? And even the Jordan River has bodies floating. Good grief. This is like it was written yesterday. 0345 6060 973. Where are the protest songs, by the way? I mean, who's doing protest songs now? It's all just insipid... ooh, baby, I love you, yeah, songs, isn't it? Are there any songs with actual content in that relate to what we're all going through? Because that used to be the case all throughout the 60s and the 1970s. I mean, some of the great soul albums of all time have been about commenting about the misery that surrounds us, particularly in the 1970s. But where are they now? Like, who's doing that stuff now? I can put you onto some good albums, comes the message from next door. I bet you can't. I bet you can't. I'm just going to guess that you can't. David in the Philippines says, one thing that hasn't been mentioned, at one point during the debate, Kamala stated that foreign dictators know that all they have to do is give him flattery and favours in order to get what they want, and Trump nodded his head as if in agreement. He was pulling dopey faces throughout that segment, so perhaps he was suffering from wind and was nodding at a successful expulsion. Oh.
I know a lot about wind.
Knows a lot about wind. San Francisco. Hello, Mike.
Well, good afternoon, Nick. This came to me last week, and I thought I'd better mention it to you if you didn't already know this.
Go ahead.
Your election day on July 4th was our Independence Day.
Yes.
And what do we do on July 4th? We blow things up. And now our election day is coming up on November 5th, and that's your Guy Fawkes Day.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
You know, and you blow things up.
We do.
Yes. Well, that came to me last week, and I thought, I have to tell Nick this.
Well, that is, it's very significant, and I had not actually processed that before. But yes, on our election day, America is blowing things up, and on your election day, we'll be blowing things up. It's almost like we have some sort of special relationship.
Well, we one of those things, yes, we do.
Can I ask you about that? Do Americans ever talk about the special relationship between us and Britain? Because Britons are forever going on about it.
Not really.
No.
I mean, the last time anybody talked about it was they talked about it with Tony Blair.
Right.
But I don't think they really talked about it much since then.
No. It's not foremost. It's not foremost in the American citizens' minds that you have a special relationship with Great Britain. No.
No. Well, I kind of like to think that I do for some reason. Why it is, I don't know. I used to collect British colony stamps. And I did, and I loved that they're so beautifully designed. They had an oval in the corner with a picture of the king or the queen, and I had stamps with old George V on it with his beard and all that sort of thing, and even Queen Elizabeth when she was a young girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was a young girl on stamps. She was a young girl on stamps for most of her life. They were quite slow in updating that profile. He's gone. Oh, well, never mind. And I have to say that, for a call from 6,000 miles away, the quality of that phone line was pretty poor. It's almost as though he was calling me from next door. It was so poor. But we'll never hear the end of that call. Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, whatever. Martin says, I just wish the aliens would land and demand a meeting with Donald Trump. They would destroy the planet within 10 minutes. Well, if he did become the president of the United States of America again, and aliens did actually land on this planet and asked to be taken to our leader, and somebody took them to see Donald Trump, I'm expecting that they would blast off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Mostly. This says, Nick Abbott, Trump seeing a business opportunity is setting up a restaurant in Springfield where the signature dish is a spaniel bolognese. Oh. These are the jokes, folks. Hi, Nick. The crime is getting out of hand. I forgot a ticket to see Oasis in... What? Hi, Nick. The crime is getting out of hand. I forgot a ticket to see Oasis in the car. Somebody smashed my window and left another one. Yeah, okay. Don't really do jokes, but that one slipped in under the wire. 0345 6060 973. This text says, "Hi Nick, was that a reference to Robin Williams at the Met? Cross this line." Yes, it was. Yeah, well spotted, that man. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on WhatsApp, whatever.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Is he crazy or is that just the way he acts?
0345 6060 973. So Nigel Farage has defended making yet another trip to the United States of America. What? He went to the US again, where he was speaking at an event alongside a leading far-right Austrian politician whose party has opposed sanctions against Russia. The event on Friday evening in Chicago is the Reform leader's third visit to the US in a little more than 2 months since he was elected MP. He really is representing Clacton on the American stage, ain't he?
Yes.
Good work, Nige. The Americans must be sick of all this talk about Clacton. Farage is listed as the main speaker at a benefit event for the Heartland Institute, an Illinois-based right-wing think tank which is a denier of human-created climate change. You know, those people.
Oh, fabulous.
Its president is called James Taylor, not that one, another one. James Taylor is also speaking. He called climate change a sham. You are judged by the company you keep. Tables at this dinner cost up to $50,000 each to reserve. Wow. It's now emerged that another speaker listed at the dinner is Harold Wolimski, a veteran figure in Austria's far-right Freedom Party. In 2016, the Freedom Party signed what was described as a cooperation pact with President Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party. Why does the smell of Russia seem to stick to Nigel Farage? And a lot of Tories, by the way.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Austria's far-right Freedom Party has argued against sanctions on Russia and expressed opposition to the idea of Ukraine potentially joining the European Union. And during the UK election, Nigel Farage said that the EU and NATO provoked Moscow's invasion of Ukraine by expanding eastwards. Would Nigel Farage be more comfortable as the Member of Parliament for Clacton or Vladivostok? I'm just asking questions. That's all. But I think it's very interesting that he hasn't said one way or another.
Nigel Farage is not fit and proper to be in government.
He was elected to represent Clacton in Essex on the 4th of July. Went to the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks later after the general election, on what was said to be the advice of Donald Trump's people, who said it would be a good idea for him to go as Donald Trump had just suffered the world's smallest cut on his ear. And poor Nige went all the way there, and Donito didn't even see him. A 6,000-mile round trip to comfort a man who couldn't be bothered to give him a moment to say hello. That's your special relationship in a nutshell.
I'm a nutcase.
And his failure to attend to the pressing needs of his constituents rather than to hop off, to jet set and go to and fro to another paid gig. And asked about that, a spokesman for Nigel Farage says Nigel told the people of Clacton that he would spend some time in America if elected, and they gave him a majority of 8,405. Which is akin to saying, yeah, whatever. That's right. Hey, people of Clacton, are you beginning to feel as though you've been had yet? Promoting the fundraising dinner for its 40th anniversary, the Heartland Institute described Nigel Farage as, quotes, a leading voice in the fight for freedom and the architect of the new conservative movement in the UK and across Europe. Well, he's a leading voice he's a leading voice to fight for replacing the great trading relationship we had with the world's biggest trading bloc, with some vague waffle about sovereignty. And in case you've lost your mind and you want to hang out with these people in Chicago and hear the Clacton gasbag speak, individual tickets cost from $199 each, tables priced from $4,000 upwards, and what is described as a platinum table for 9 people who will sit with Nigel Farage during the dinner is listed on the Institute's website as having already been sold for $50,000.
What?
And if you have to ask what a table not sitting with Nigel Farage must cost, then you can't afford it. For the event in Arizona, Farage's register of interest as an MP showed he has thus far been paid just under £12,000 as a deposit. God. And later this month, he's listed as a speaker at the Nomad Capitalist Summit, an event at a luxury hotel in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, described as the world's foremost gathering of global citizens discussing second citizenship, legal offshore tax strategies, international investing and the nomad capitalist lifestyle, which is just the sort of thing that the good people of Clacton need to know about. Legal offshore tax strategies. Jolyon Morm, the director of the Good Law Project, said he does know, Nigel Farage, doesn't he, that the sea Clacton is on is not the Black Sea or the Singapore Straits or the Pacific. I'm starting to wonder whether to set up a crowdfunder for an atlas. 0345 6060 973. I heard that the people of Clacton knew what they were voting for. That's what I heard. Let's have Lester Dequan.
Hello there, Nick.
Hello there.
I know you just talking about the Brexit. You know what I feel like there's a big problem in Britain at the minute is a lot of people don't even know how the political system actually works. I feel like, you know, politics should be made a core subject at school because I have a lot of people voting for things that they don't even know they're voting for.
That's a good idea.
Know? And you know, if you don't come from an academic family and your family ain't really politically aligned with what's going on in the country, you know, it comes to voting down, oh, well, your grandma voted Labour, let's vote Labour. They don't even know how my grandma is 69.
69 years old.
She doesn't even know how the political system actually works. She didn't know how an MP becomes an MP. So we have a high percentage of people in this country voting for things that they don't even know what they're voting for. And that's why I feel like Brexit was left down to the public to vote for, because they know people who are uneducated, don't know how it actually works, don't know how to analyse what's going on, you know, when it comes down to little things like immigration, you know, wealth, all these kind of things, and you know, they have no clue. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, you're coming from Leicester.
Yeah, I am coming from Leicester.
I think that's a very good idea. People should be taught citizenship. They should be taught about how our system works and how to wheedle out fake news and how to engage on social media without hampering your career prospects and all of the rest of it.
And I also think another thing, like, you know, when it comes to, I feel like it would change the whole of government, because I feel like, you know, a lot of this generation, I feel like they are the lost generation because, you know, they're not interlined with what's actually going on in the country. You know, when I listen to LBC, it's, you know, middle-aged people. It's not mostly young people coming on the show like me. I'm 28.
Right.
I'm a young man. So, I'm politically aligned, not because of my family, just I feel like it's a duty that I have. And, you know, that out front of it, you know, people's lost hope. And, you know, a lot of people in politics haven't got no lived experience. You have people talking about, you know, child benefits when they've never been on child benefits.
Well, you don't need to have been on child benefits to know about the consequences of having them or not having them.
You don't need to, but sometimes you have the empathy of understanding it if you've lived it with the lived experience.
I don't think you need to get taught empathy. I don't think empathy comes with having experienced what other people are experiencing. It's just whether you are a nice person or not.
But sometimes don't you feel like it's like telling somebody to stop having a drink drink if you've never had a drink. You know, I feel like sometimes coming from someone who's been in them shoes, who understands how to navigate it, you know, a lot better than someone who's not actually ever navigated it.
Well,
do you know where I'm coming from?
Leicester. Yeah, I do know where you're coming from, and I think that you have a kernel of a good idea there, and I think that people should get taught citizenship. That would be an overarching school subject that should be part of the curriculum. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, and there could be all sorts of things put in there, how to not get hoodwinked by oily charlatans, for a start. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. This text says, I remember Randall and Hopkirk as my surname is Randall. And I was at school in the 1970s. Whenever I said my surname, it would always be followed by and Hopkirk, by whoever I was saying it to. I'm listening to you on the beach in St. Lucia. Yeah, well, thanks very much, but we don't wish to know that. Mike in Broadstairs says, Randall and Hopkirk was my favourite show. He wore an all-white outfit, which, if it got marked, was touched up with Tipp-Ex, as they could only afford one outfit. Is that true? How do you know that? I think it was a low-budget TV... Well, all British TV shows were low-budget, apart from one. Well, maybe there was a couple. But the big budget show in the 1970s was the Persuaders. And every now and again, I do see that on TV. I haven't watched it in a good long while, though. And that had Roger Moore and Tony Curtis on the same show. I mean, what that would have cost about 10 years after those two made that programme, it must be absolutely astronomical. Roger Moore and Tony Curtis on the same TV show. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Belfast. Hello, Brendan.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, coming through loud and clear, like a bell.
Thank Don. By the way, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for making your call.
No, thank you. But from a listener's point of view and a sometime caller, I'd just like to make you aware that what I'm going to say now, you probably won't really like, because it's going back deep, dark into history.
Uh-oh. History?
Yeah.
History? Ugh.
Boring.
Go ahead.
I know, but we're talking about 49 minutes ago when I first rang.
Oh.
And the subjects were totally different. And I had a linear thought and had the whole train of thought worked out. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm interested in talking about.
Yeah.
This is the subject to it. And then while I'm on hold, the callers are so cool that it fragments your brain, derails your whole linear train, and just... your whole
and in the last 49 minutes, we've talked about 86,000 different things, and it's scrambled your brain. Go ahead.
Yes. So, I'm going to have to just cope with where it is now, rather than what I was hoping to talk about.
All right.
And I hope that I can remember even bits of it. But the first thing was, while I was on waiting there back in history, was somebody rang up and said Obama was failing in his duty as president. Done anything about the 11th.
9/11, yeah.
No, the 11th of September.
Yeah, 9/11. They do it the other way around in America. 9th month, 11th day, 9/11.
Yeah, but we're here. We're over here.
All right, 11/9.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes. So, I mean, anyway.
So what was your point about that? Because I think that was a setup, but you didn't actually get to the point of it.
Of the 9/11 thing?
Yeah.
Is, well...
I think the point is that, can I short-circuit it for you? I think that the point was going to be that Barack Obama was not the president of the United States when 9/11 happened. Was that it?
No.
Oh.
I think that the people who would subscribe to that, which I believe would be banjo playing Deep South,
the Dingalings.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people.
The very ones, yes. They need to be pointed to the fact that on the internet, and it's there for everyone to see, even Donald Trump, especially Donald Trump supporters, Abraham Lincoln said, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Right. So that's that part over. Jeremy Clarkson.
Yes.
No, I didn't want to ring about Jeremy Clarkson, but...
You've been forced to.
Yes, because I've lost my whole train of thought, and I thought, well...
So what about Jeremy Clarkson, then? What's he done now?
He's made a fantastic programme.
About farming?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. It is. It's very good. It's so good that I'm annoyed it's not on now. That he's living his life and without making it into an hour-long weekly programme. I find that quite... I'm put out by that.
I feel disenfranchised.
Yes. Yeah. What about us? Exactly.
It was you, right? Okay, it was you, because your recommendations are usually quite cool. And it was you that went on and on about Jeremy Clarkson, and so I said to myself, I'm going to... Yeah. So I had to subscribe to Prem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This was not an easy decision.
Yes.
There was cash monthly recurring demand bill.
Oh, right.
So I thought, I'll look at it for 10 minutes and see what it's like.
Yeah.
That was 3 nights ago.
Right. And you've been watching almost nothing else 24 hours straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched 8 episodes of Series 1 after the 10-minute, and first peak.
Yes.
And then I went on to Series 2, and now I'm sort of afraid of watching as many so fast in case I get to the end.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to end.
Well, that's exactly my thoughts entirely. It does end. I hate to break the news to you, Brendan. And then you'll have...
Go easy on me.
And then you'll have nothing. And I'll restate my case. I do find it somewhat annoying that he drew me in only to leave me hanging, and now I don't have an entry into his life, which I find just very annoying. How could he do this to me?
It's disturbing. It's disturbing. And for someone like him, I mean, see when they had to take the sheep to the slaughterhouse, and he got back into his jeep, you could see, and it wasn't fake.
Right.
He was hurt.
Little teary, yeah. Not so teary that he didn't turn it into pie.
No.
Yeah. Here, Brendan, I've just seen what the time is, and I've got to go because I'm way past the break.
Okay.
But are you going to be okay?
I'm hanging in there.
He's hanging in there. Be strong.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. Sue in West Sussex texts, I have a radical idea for prison challenges. 1, sort out some land to build a housing estate and school and doctor's surgeries. Filter out all the tradesmen in prison. I won't enumerate all of them, I'll just read it as text. Filter out all the tradesmen in prisons and young offenders who would like to do apprenticeships. Build temporary barracks as accommodation and add necessary amenities. Employ retired army officers to be in charge of the rules. Or what? Employ necessary professional people, i.e. project managers. Pay the skilled prisoners 20 grand a year and apprentices 10,000. Get on and build, and then repeat all of the above. Solves housing, skills shortages, overcrowding in prisons, etc. Needs more thought, but I think it could work, says Sue. Yeah, I'm going to say no. I don't want houses built by a ragtag bunch of prisoners. I mean, I don't object to prisoners being part of the team that builds houses, but it doesn't seem like a recipe for housing success to me. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now who's been waiting the longest. I'll be totally fair about this. It looks like haven't. Lauren.
Hello, Nick.
Lauren.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Cool. I was ringing in because you were talking about Randall and Hopkirk.
Oh, yeah.
And Marty Hopkirk. It was Marty Hopkirk was Kenneth Cope.
Right.
And he was like all dishy, wasn't he? He was really dishy. I was only 7. He was my first crush.
Okay.
He was like a beetle in a white suit. He had like a...
Yeah, that's right.
He had a fringe, floppy fringe. And
I hadn't thought about that, but he does look a bit like a beetle, yeah.
Yeah, and the other guy was really cragged looking in his face, wasn't he, Jeff, the guy who played Jeff?
I'm going to have to look him up because my memory is failing me. Randall and Hopkirk.
You might get...
right.
Vic Reeves did it. They did it as well, didn't they? Which it was terrible. I couldn't watch it at all.
Mike Pratt is the chap's name. Yeah.
Did he die? I'm not sure.
Checking for you. Yes, he did. Died in 1976.
Right. Well, in 1971, my brother was born, and there was a big kerfuffle about what they were going to call him. And my mum wanted to call him Alistair. My dad wouldn't have a bar of that. And I got to name him. They wouldn't let me call him Marty, but his name's Martin. Yeah.
That was a bit brave of them.
Yeah. Everybody else all the other little boys in the maternity wards were called Jason.
Jason from...
I don't know, maybe Jason King.
Right,
I don't know.
maybe.
Do you remember him?
Yes, with the moustache. Sort of our version of the guy that used to drive the Ferrari in America.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, memories, what memories? And has he forgiven you?
Who? What,
Martin.
Yeah, he loves me. I'm his sister.
His big sister, yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
his big sister.
Okay, thanks a lot, Lauren. Walking down memory lane. Lawrence in Croydon says, I think that we should do a Project 25 in the UK. Too many idiots here to vote. Let's lock in this government for about 50 years and review it then. Well, I mean, there is something to be said for that. As long as we can find a government that we actually like, that suits us, then, yeah, perhaps. I mean, what we have in this country is a series of dictatorships anyway. We charge to the left, then we charge to the right, and no wonder nothing gets done. Russell in Baldock says, Kenneth Cope was also the shop steward in Carry On At Your Convenience, who kept calling strikes at the toilet factory. He was the deceased one in Randall and Hopkirk, dressed in a white suit. Yeah, we've established that. And Anne in Streatham text, please, Nick, clip that whatever from that Brexit loon for the soundboard for use on your show. Yeah, it sounds very much like homework you're giving me there, Anne. But I'll think about it. Leave it with me. Dulwich, shall I, Jason? An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Jason.
Hi, Nick. I was really intrigued by the Trump, his intonation when he delivers the dogs and cats line. It seems really strange, and I think I've solved it. I think he's trying to be cool and sound like Christopher Walken. They're eating the dogs, the people, they're eating the cats, the pets.
Yeah. It sounds quite sing-songy, doesn't he? Where every now and again, I mean, he's just annoyingly funny because he is quite possibly the world's worst person right now. But everything he says is amusing.
They're eating the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
He didn't actually say that. I made him say that. But, it's funny.
My dog's been taken.
Sounds like Christopher Walken.
A little bit, yeah.
Pretty bold to call him the worst person in the world. There are a few other candidates.
Oh, please, name one.
Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, yeah, all right.
Can I take you up
that.
on your challenge from before the election? You kept asking people to say something that the Conservative government had done that had improved things.
Oh.
And much as I'm no fan of that government, I came up with 3 things for you.
And it's only taken you 9 weeks. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't want to do it before the election because the slim chance that I might convince somebody to vote for them just meant that I couldn't discuss
You didn't want to tip the scales. I understand.
Exactly that. So, sugar tax on drinks.
Okay. I mean, has that
against them on that?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, they dragged their heels really long time, and it didn't really affect things very much, did it? But okay, I'll give you that one.
I mean, the drinks don't taste as good.
Don't they?
Secondly, equality of marriage in England.
Right.
And thirdly, fixed odds betting terminals. The stakes were something like £100, and they brought it down to 2. You could only have, I think, 2 in any given betting shop, which was why, if anybody was wondering why you ended up with the same bookmaker with 3 shops down the high street and the other 5 bookmakers each with 3 shops down the high street, it's because they could only have two machines in one shop. So now they've changed it. Those shops are gone. And in London we're fortunate because that means they've been taken over by other more interesting and less evil things. But again, you think about the amount of lobbying that would have been thrown back at them
huge.
when they were doing that. But again, it took a long time. The business said, it's going to take us ages to change all these machines. It really shouldn't have. They just need to press a button.
Okay, so, right. So 3 positive things in only 14 years.
Exactly that.
Good work, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, mate. There you are, you see?
This government...
wasn't so bad after all. Let's have them back, shall we?
No.
Yeah, it's a no from me. And you too, probably. This says, where were the oldies when my educational maintenance allowance got axed midway through my college course? Someone passed me the tiny violin. Councils are already offering help to those just about the cut-off with local support. Okay, now we're picking... we've got wars going on intergenerationally. Why can't people just get along?
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we are doing a radio show, but it does remind me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to just, take a break from all of the misery and the strife in the world, then I do believe that this podcast will be right up your alley. Carol McGiffin is a hoot and a half, and we solve problems while laughing our faces off. If you have a dilemma that you would wish us to bend our brain at, then simply send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com, nickandcarol@global.com, and prepare to be totally satisfied.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's a podcast which you'll find on Global Player, and you should ask for it by name. It's What's Your Problem? With Nick and Carol. 0345 6060 973. Woking. Jeff.
Hello, Nick.
Jeff.
How are you?
Great, mate.
Good. Just a couple of little asides, if I may. Danny Wilde and Lord Brett Sinclair.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Yes. Now, the thing is, apparently, the late, great Tony Curtis was high on amphetamines when he was making the series.
Really? How'd you know that?
If you look at it carefully, he's jumping about all over the place like a lunatic.
The last time I watched that programme, I thought the theme tune, which is probably in your mind right now...
John Barry, yes.
Yeah. Is actually genius, because it encapsulates both characters in the one tune. And it had never occurred to me until I just saw it about a year or so ago. And I thought... Wow, because it's got this sort of, it's not, I don't know quite what the piano is, but it's a sort of a high-pitched, it's a bit like this. Kind of that sort of sound, and that's the Lord Brett Sinclair, that's the Roger Moore character, and then it's got this sort of bass line from what appears to be a completely different track, which is the American Tony Curtis character. And you put them together, and it's two completely contrasting instruments that don't sound like they belong in the same tune, but they really do tell you who they both are.
If you remember, Nick, when the series started, Tony Curtis had jet black hair. And as the series went on, it gradually little bits of salt and pepper gradually got a little greyer and a little greyer as the series went on.
But there wasn't many of them, was there? They didn't really make that many, probably for cost reasons.
Well, they're all over Europe, weren't they? But another little aside for you, and I think you might be interested as a fan of The Sopranos. There was a programme on the other day, the maker of The Sopranos, a documentary about how he made the series.
Yes, I've taped it, but I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list.
Me too. Now then, my main point. Now then, protest songs then and now.
Are there any now?
Yes. Now, the thing is, there was a protest song in 1965 and one in 1992, and coincidentally, they were both written by the same person. And that person was Buffy St. Marie.
Right. Rings a bell.
Now, in 1965, Donovan recorded an EP track called Universal Soldier. And if you look at the lyrics, they are as relevant today as they were in 1965. They're unbelievably... The lyrics are unbelievable.
What's the name of that song again?
Universal Soldier.
Universal Soldier. Isn't there a film with...
no, that's a different thing altogether.
That Belgian guy.
Yeah. The Muscles from Brussels or something.
Exactly.
But no, this song, it was an EP track, and it was so popular, this artist, Donovan, that it got into the singles chart, apparently. But 1965 was a 4-track EP, Universal Soldier, and the lyrics are so relevant.
He's 5'2" and he's 6'4". He fights with missiles and with spears. He's all of 31 and he's only 17. He's been a soldier for 1,000 years.
That's the one.
He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain. What's a Jain?
Well, it's some sort of religion, isn't it?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
A Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew, and he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA, he's fighting for the Russians, and he's fighting for Japan, and he thinks we'll put an end to war this way. And on it goes. Huh.
There you are.
Good work.
Yes. Now, I'll tell you, the other one, Nick, was 1992, and the same lady wrote it and recorded it. It's called The Big Ones Get Away.
I'm not familiar with that one either.
No, it was a single, it wasn't a hit, but it's a fantastic track. The Big Ones Get Away.
But these are old songs. What about the new one? Is there anybody... Go on.
1992 is new for me, Nick. I'm sorry. I'm an old rock and roller, you know.
Yeah.
But,
it seems like just yesterday, don't it?
Yes, it does. Check it out, Nick. You'll like it.
Okay, all right. And you check out Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees, which is also a protest song, but not many people know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go, you see. You learned something by listening to this show. Informative, no?
No. Yeah, I'll tell you, before I go, John Stewart, the man who wrote Daydream Believer, check out his California Bloodlines. It's a beautiful track. You'll love it.
Okay.
John Stewart, California Bloodlines. He wrote Daydream Believer for the Monkees.
Right. Okay, excellent work. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Rock and roll!
That's our rock and roll correspondent. This text says, I think we should play a game. The best answer to the question, why are Americans voting for Trump? Because I would love to know. Well, I think they're voting for Trump for 4 reasons. Because they've always voted Republican. Because they'd rather be Russian than vote Democrat. Because Kamala Harris wants to tick her guns. And to stick it to the Liberals. I can't think of another reason. This from Karina says, have you seen the Patriotic Millionaires UK group? There are a bunch of millionaires campaigning for ultra-rich people like them to be taxed more. I'm very far from a millionaire, but this bunch seem like good ones. Hey, we found a good one. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah, there was this article about tax, because various millionaires have decided to leave the country. And they don't just slink away. They don't just book a flight out. They have to do a publicity tour telling us that it's all our fault, essentially. Rachel Reeves has been urged to impose an exit tax on wealthy investors moving their money out of the country. It comes as wealth managers report a surge in the number of super-rich individuals leaving the country ahead of the budget next month. Yeah, they're going to Dubai, where they better not kiss on the beach or drink alcohol outside of restricted areas or brush against someone accidentally or be gay or have an argument with someone or try to commit suicide or forget that they're carrying CBD oil in their wash bag or accidentally get into debt or call somebody a name on social media or wear a short skirt while shopping, all of which got Britons in Dubai sent to jail. Other than that, and, 1,000 rules that they can make up on the spot, enjoy yourselves. The Resolution Foundation, a think tank that works on improving living standards for people that aren't millionaires, has called on Labour to hit those relocating overseas with a capital gains tax. Under current rules, investors pay no capital gains tax on UK shares if they leave Britain for more than 5 years. But in a report exploring the fiscal choices facing the Chancellor in the budget on October the 30th, the Resolution Foundation recommended scrapping this rule. They said an Australian-style exit charge should be introduced that levies capital gains tax when people move out of the country. Yeah, of course. Countries such as Australia, Canada and the US already charge an exit tax when investors take up fiscal residence somewhere else. And these types are always going on about Australian points-based immigration systems, aren't they? How about an Australian-based exit tax? Yes?
No.
No, of course not. The UK could see a loss of as many as 9,500 millionaires this year. I bet we don't. That's more than double the 4,200 who left the country in 2023. And did things nosedive significantly when they did? I don't notice a difference. How about you? That's according to a private wealth company, wealth managers. An insight firm also found in a survey of 73 non-doms that 63% were planning on leaving the UK within 2 years or actively considering leaving shortly. Because they patriotically made their money here on the backs of ordinary workers who all paid tax before they got paid. And now that they've made it, the thought of contributing to the country that made it possible for them to get rich is just so awful that they're preparing to leave to live in some baking hot hellhole where they can't step out of line for fear of being beaten to death in a rat-infested prison. Well, that certainly makes a lot of sense to me. In Australia and Canada, if you stop being a resident for tax purposes, then you will incur a capital gains tax charge on your shares as though you have sold them. So they can't go to any of the English-speaking countries. The US also applies an exit tax to deter high-income individuals from renouncing their citizenship. And if an exit tax were introduced in the UK, it could mean an investor leaving the country and sitting on a £200,000 gain would be expected to pay about 40 grand on their way out. So you do the maths for the super rich. Experts said the Chancellor could be considering introducing an exit tax in order to prevent a potential exodus of higher earners and business owners, and that tax could be backdated to the moment they won the last election, I'd say, to catch those that love their country so much that they scarpered at the very thought of paying something back. Good riddance to a lot of them. They aren't wealth creators, they're wealth hoarders. They got rich by, in many cases, paying their workers minimum wage, denying them paid holidays, denying them sick pay, firing them and then rehiring them on lower wages, making it as difficult as possible for them to unionise, and taking all that wealth that those workers created and squirreling it offshore so they don't pay any tax on it. I can't say we'll miss them. They just make everything more expensive for the rest of us poor dopes who actually do pay taxes. And no amount of hair gel and facelifts and teeth polishing can disguise the fact that they're ugly on the inside, and we'd be better off without them. Unless I'm wrong on any of that, in which case you must correct me.
Leading Britain's conversation, Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk.
0345 6060 973. Let's see, Chingford, John.
Oh, hi, Nick. Nice to talk to you again.
Yes, John.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit tonight. I don't know if I'll get to Beyonce News and Larry the Cat.
Yes.
But first of all, the gentleman who phoned earlier, California Bloodlines, a brilliant album. I second that.
Okay.
So it's a wonderful LP. Also, Buffy St. Marie, he was talking about. I didn't realise, I found out recently, I didn't realise she was married to Jack Nishi. Or some, sorry?
Jack who?
Well, some people call him Jack Nisha. I mean, he's a sort of, he's very associated with the Rolling Stones and Neil Young. He was, he's been in a lot of the Stones. He was a brilliant slide guitarist, and then he later went into film music.
I'm unfamiliar with his work.
No, he turned... In fact, it's really funny because I used to read Rolling Stone back in the 60s, and he gave up touring because he was part of Neil Young's band Crazy Horse, and he said he couldn't cope with the pressures of being a 32-year-old rock star because all the other guys are like in their 20s.
Well, the ones that hadn't died. Yeah, the ones that had... The ones that hadn't died, yes.
No, but I mean, this is like back in the late 60s, you know. I mean, he was older than... I mean, the other guys are Stones, and they were all, like, in their 20s still, and he felt that being 32 and being on stage was too old. But he did a lot of soundtrack music. I mean, performance. I don't know if you remember the very controversial film that starred Mick Jagger.
Well, which one?
No, the Performance.
Oh, Performance. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Moving along.
Yeah, he did a lot of soundtrack music. Kenneth Cope was also in Coronation Street.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah. I still have never watched a whole episode of Coronation Street. I must be the only person in the country who can say that with truth and verification. I've never watched a whole episode of either Coronation Street or EastEnders.
All right, well, you haven't missed very much.
No.
Really.
Has anything happened on either of those two shows yet? No, I don't think so.
The other thing, I mean, I grew up in the probably similar ventures to the gentleman I just cross-referenced. I grew up in the era of golden westerns, you know, the golden age of TV westerns, and I think I used to sort of think, well, all these guys are, you know, like James Garner and Burt Reynolds and all these other guys who went on to be very famous that started off in TV westerns. And I think at the moment there's only Clint Eastwood from Rawhide, and I think Robert Fuller from Laramie is surviving, you know, I mean, because there's so many. I mean, it's Nirvana for me on Wednesday on Talking Pictures TV, because you got Wyatt Earp, then you got Bonanza, then you got the Texans, so 2 hours of vintage western. Also,
shoot them up. Yeah.
No, also with the Freeview Channel 42, they're showing the whole of the Steve McQueen western series, Wanted Dead or Alive, which is brilliant.
Also unfamiliar with it. What else you got?
Yeah, it's what else have I got? Sorry, my mind's spinning because there's so much. Yeah, another cult TV actor that died recently, James Darren from the Time Tunnel.
No.
No, it's a cult sci-fi series that often gets repeated about two guys who, like, they go through this time tunnel.
You know what? I can't keep up with what's happening on television now, let alone delving back into what happened decades ago.
Larry the Cat, he's been a bit...
Oh, I have a story about Larry the Cat, yeah.
Yeah. Also, apparently he beat up Dylan the dog.
Good.
Actually, funny enough, talking about beating up, because the gentleman, the whatever guy, he talked about Sakir getting beaten up at school. Actually, my first duffering up 70 years ago was by a certain member of rock royalty now. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name.
I think enough time has passed. Who is it?
Oh, okay. Well, my first duffering up, I mean, about 8 years old, was Sir Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart beat you up?
Yeah, he was a bit too jumpy and bendy for me. I knew Rod Stewart and Ray Davis, actually. So
Did Ray Davis hit you?
From me. Sorry?
Did Ray Davis beat you up?
No, I didn't really get on with Rod Stewart. I was too geeky for him.
So 1 out of 2 ain't bad. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, John. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I have detailed files about Larry the Cat. Larry the Cat has been a very bad cat. As Downing Street's most famous animal, Larry the Cat has outlasted 5 prime ministers. There was the moon-faced shed dweller.
I think this is nonsense.
There was Mrs. M and her comedy clown shoes, Mr. Blobby.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
The Lizbot.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, there was Fishy.
I'm gripping it.
Still gripping it. So that cat's seen it all. Been there, got the fleas. Who did it get the fleas from?
I can't comment on that.
And now it's a new broom, and not all of Sir Dower Starmer's new ministers are apparently fans of the 17-year-old cat. Blimey, 17. They don't live much longer than that, do they? Scottish Secretary Ian Murray has branded Larry as a little, very bad word beginning with S.
What?
Yeah. Telling a dinner in Glasgow that he was the most miserable he was the most miserable animal that you will ever meet in your life, he said. A new blow to the nation's chief pet, having already been subject to competition from a new Siberian kitten recently adopted by the Prime Minister and his family, which must be awful for it. It's been the cock of the walk for 17 years, and now it's got to put up with some bouncy kitten from Siberia, if you please. The Scottish Secretary Ian Murray said, "We walked into Downing Street really excited, and all we wanted to do was to try and get a picture with Larry the cat. And without putting too fine a point on it, Larry the cat is a little, very bad word beginning with S."
What?
Yeah. So none of us got a picture, he said. Larry the cat is the most miserable animal you will ever meet in your life, he said. I'm not surprised, given who he's had to live with for the last 10 years, thereby beating me to the punchline. If he hadn't have said that, then I definitely would. Let's see now. Heston. Isaac. Isaac. Oh,
hello, Nick. How are you?
There you are, just in time. Yes, sir.
Right, I've got a... Yep. Yep. 3 things. Okay.
Couple of 3 things.
Yeah, in fact, before the 3 things, oh, heavens above. Alexa, stop.
Alexa, stop.
Sorry, that was my alarm.
Yeah.
Right. Right, before my 3 things, I think an exit tax for millionaires is a good idea.
Yes.
So I'll do some homework on that for the next 7 days. Anyway,
can you please do that
3 things.
straight
Number
away?
1,
yeah. I think it's 4 things, and it was 4 things, and you've already had number 1. But go ahead. Is there a delay on this line?
Whatever. You should turn that into a.
Isaac, you're listening to me on the radio, aren't you? So you're hearing what I'm saying 7 seconds later, and it's blowing your mind. So I'm going to give you a moment to turn the radio off, and then you can hear me down the phone almost the moment that my words leave my lips. Just pause, let that happen, and we're back.
Hang on. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Yeah, right, okay. Is that better?
I don't know. You tell me.
Is that better?
No, you're still hearing me on delay, aren't you?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Right, shall I continue?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, all right.
No, I'm not.
Whatever. I don't really care anymore. Go ahead. Okay. Isaac, it's like talking to you on the International Space Station. I say something and then you reply about 7 seconds later. Are you one of those 2 people that have been stuck on the International Space Station?
Right, I was...
Okay, that's just insufferable. I'm sorry, mate, but I can't do it anymore. Lara in Surrey says, "Good evening, Nick. I am so fed up with the idiots that are constantly blaming Labour for means testing the winter fuel £300. If the last government had paid pensioners a decent pension, they would not have to rely on the winter fuel money to survive the winter. Moreover, do they really expect the country to be fixed in 9 weeks, which has been ruined for over 14 years? Lara has nutshelled it for us. Exactly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Tories put in their manifesto that they were going to means test the winter fuel allowance. That was in their manifesto. They were going to do that. That the Labour Party are being blamed for that is, well, I suppose that they had the choice whether to do it or not, but it was going to happen anyway. And that people are complaining, as I told you that they would. The moment that Skier's knees got under the desk in number 10 Downing Street, he would be blamed for everything that has been put wrong in this country over 14 years of Tory misrule.
Yeah. Wait.
For clowns like that. Clowns to the left of me, idiots to the right.
Absolutely.
We've been all stuck in the middle with that lot. It's going to take a while. It would be better if he stopped saying, I'm going to have to take tough decisions, because that's getting a bit wearing. And it's also a bit negative. Show us a bit of positivity. I mean, that's the thing with Kamala Harris. Her introduction to the race in America has brought the light in. And after
this government
and all of the rest of them, we need a bit of light in this country. Because we're losing it by the day. Several minutes of light lost every day, both at the beginning and the end of the day at this time of year. So we need a bit of positive. Tell us some good things. Stop being so blooming miserable, Keir Starmer. Just a suggestion. Jonathan in Ipswich says, is the Clacton clown in the USA trying to get Donald to invest in upgrading the crazy golf course on Clacton seafront? Very important people are coming to me. They're saying it's the best crazy golf course anybody has ever seen. It's a tremendous facility. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, the number's the same as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
I don't believe I've ever met him. I'm pretty sure I didn't meet him, and I just don't know anything about him.
So British teens could face a ban on using social media after ministers said they were completely open-minded about copying Australia's curbs. And British teens took the news well. Technology Secretary Peter Kyle. Oh, that should have been a pop quiz. Technology Secretary. Anybody? Anyone at all? Peter Kyle said he was looking forward to seeing the results of the legislation that would stop children using sites such as TikTok and Instagram. And if this was a Conservative government, you would assume that their Technology Secretary would have no history of working in the technology sector and would have left school without any usable qualifications. In other news, this Labour Technology Secretary has no history of working in the technology sector and left school without any usable qualifications. What? The minimum age for logging on has yet to be decided by Anthony Albanese's administration in Australia, but it's expected to be between 14 and 16 years old. So bad luck any 13-year-olds who don't know about 1,000 ways to get round any impediment to going online that some granddad could put in their way. Technology Secretary Peter Kyle told the Super Soaraway Sun, "There's nothing I take off the table when it comes to keeping children, women and girls safe in our society." The House of Commons Education Committee said in May that the government should consider a total ban on phones for under 16s and that tougher action is needed to limit screen time and combat online harm. But Skier said in July that he does not support simply banning phones for children under 16. He said that the government needs to look again at what content children are accessing online. You need to look again? You mean you looked once already at what the kids are looking at online and you remain unsure? The Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has described the impact of social media sites on young people as a scourge. The Aussie PM said hang on. The Aussie PM said his own preference would be a block on users aged between 0 and 16. Age verification trials are set to be held over the coming months, although analysts have questioned whether it is technically possible to enforce an online age limit. I'll answer that question for you. No, it's not. It isn't. Not unless you can get the tech giants to upend their business model of hooking the world's population on their products by getting them early and making them addicted. And that would affect their profit margins, of course. And companies that are only worth trillions of dollars need to keep that cash rolling in. Those super yachts and space trips don't pay for themselves, you know. 0345 6060 973. That's right, around 35,000 pupils at primary and secondary schools in England will be unable to take their smartphones into class after the managing group running the institutions imposed a smartphone ban. And the kids said... I'll come to more of that in a minute. I can't imagine that any of that is going to go very well, but, it's possible. Let's be positive. Let's be happy. Anything could happen. Hove, actually. Brian.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Brian.
I was just listening to those callers ringing in about protest songs, and one of them came to mind that I was so surprised at when I found out. It just stuck in my head, and it's "These Boots Are Made for Walking" by Nancy Sinatra.
That's a protest song?
Yeah, it's about the Vietnam War. It's about boots, and what she's singing about is the soldiers' boots.
Is it?
And I thought, that's interesting.
I always thought it was somewhat saucy.
Well, I think you could add that as well, because Nancy Sinatra became, a pin-up for the soldiers in Vietnam in the early, late 60s, early 70s. But she made that song, and I thought, that's very bold of her to have done that, because a lot of protest songs are quite jolly, but when you listen to the lyrics, they're quite
Country Joe and Country Joe and the Fish. Whoopee, we're all going to die. I mean, if you don't listen to what he's actually saying, it is quite a jolly tune. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, the Specials did Free Nelson Mandela. That was a protest song, wasn't it? So that was very popular.
Well, the Specials were pretty much a protest band. I mean, a lot of their songs were social commentary.
Yeah, and also, another one of my favourites was, Panic by the Smiths, which, again, I would never have said was a protest song, but apparently Morrissey wrote it about Chernobyl, which is kind of quite, again, interesting, because you think, oh, right, that's a very jolly little song, but that's about nuclear war.
Yeah, I should start listening to lyrics more. I mean, I just don't. I'm a tune person myself. I find myself, if I listen to a song long enough and frequently enough, I find myself singing along to the lyrics, but not actually paying attention to what it is I'm singing.
Yeah, I don't know how singers remember lyrics, because I can only sing along when I'm listening to the song. I can never recall the lyrics.
Yeah, even if they've written them, even if they've written them, I find it surprising that they can remember the lyrics. Of course, a lot of rockers these days, they have the lyrics scrolling up on a screen at the bottom of a stage. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I think I'm getting to that age. You were mentioning about John Barry earlier on.
Yeah.
I met John Barry about 10 years ago and had a 15-minute conversation with him. Oh, my God, he was just one of my heroes when I was a teenager.
Well, what were you conversing about?
Well, I was telling him how much his music meant to me when I was a teenager, because obviously he did a lot of James Bond soundtracks.
Yes.
And he did the Persuaders theme, which we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah, I'm right about that, aren't I? It was a really brilliant piece of writing on his part, because he took two opposite characters and he summed them up by the instrument that he chose for each one of them. And it only occurred to me really late, about last year, when I watched one of those episodes.
Yeah.
And that's superb.
He was a complete genius in the fact that he used a lot of brass.
Yes.
And obviously that in the 60s, that became very well known and famous on a lot of the soundtracks that he did. And, he did The Girl with the Sun in Her Hair, which was for an advert for shampoo.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm going to say Timotei.
No, I don't think it was that. No, I don't think it was that one. I think it was Silver Cream or Silk Screen, or I don't know.
One of those, yeah.
It was in the 70s. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because he was one of my ultimate heroes because I got into soundtracks when I was a teenager, not really rock music. And it was just a great pleasure to have met him, really, and shook his hand and got his autograph. And his wife said she would send me all these particular CDs of his. And I said, I've got that one, and I've got that one. So really, she didn't send me any of them because I'd actually got them all. But
that was very honest of you, Brian.
Yes, it was, wasn't it?
All right, good
anyway,
work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, that man. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. Well, I'm just looking at the lyrics, and I mean, I suppose if you knew for sure that they were about the Vietnam War, I suppose you could insert some meaning into them, but not really. I always just thought it was a bit, S&M-ish. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are going to walk all over you. I just thought it was a bit, unseemly.
Disgusting.
And that I was quite surprised to hear that on the radio and watch her gyrating away on the telly doing that. You keep lying when you ought to be truthin', and you keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saming when you ought to be a-changin'. Now, what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. It's not very specific, really, is it? It could mean anything at all. But that's the beauty of art, I suppose. It's all about the consumer, not necessarily the person what wrote it. This one said, on that subject says, check out Loaded Skins music. Loaded Skins?
Want to score some pot?
What does that mean? Actually, Loaded Skins are a baked potato filled with some, probably like a meat product. In a restaurant, you ask for Loaded Skins, and that's what you'll get. Paul in Manchester says, I think you'll find the woke media is lying about our 1960s icons dying. The enlightened know that they're being eaten by Romanians from Hackney. I didn't know that. Is that true? Donald Trump was right.
They're eating the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
It's a disgrace. It says, listen to an artist called Chapel Roan when you get home, please. That's your homework for the weekend. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't do homework. Chris in Leicester says, you need to listen to Kid Capicci's New England. The lyrics are incredible. Thank me later. No, thank me now. I'll do nothing of the sort. How many more of these have I got? Just so I pace myself. Just way too many. Glenn says, one of the biggest losses to the music industry was Walter Becker, one half of Steely Dan. They were superb, he says. Yes, they were.
Yowza.
Asia is one of the best albums that has ever been made, and I think you will find that is factually correct. He says Elvis was overrated.
What?
Well, now you're just making enemies, Glenn. But I agree with you. Elvis was overrated, yeah. It's just that he was the first, that's all. He was the first white man to sing a black man's music, unless you know otherwise. But that was pretty much right. But which version of Hound Dog would you rather hear? Elvis's version or Big Mama Willie Mae Thornton's? I know which I want to hear, and it ain't Elvis. This says, probably an addition to the last person's text, says also Kendrick Lamar, but because he is a rapper, you will probably not like him without even listening. Are you kidding me? I like rap music. I'm hip. I'm with it.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're joking.
0345 6060 973. So around 35,000 pupils at a primary and secondary schools at primary and secondary schools across England will be unable to take their smartphones into class after the managing group running the institutions imposed a smartphone ban. The Ormiston Academies Trust says it is introducing the rules because of what they say is the relationship between excessive smartphone usage and poor mental health among the young. It's coming, kids. Prepare yourselves. Tom Rees, Chief Executive, says his teachers have seen huge and real concerns about how their pupils are using their phones, with a clear correlation between mental health issues and heavy use of social media. It came after Eton banned smartphones and gave pupils Nokia dumb phones. Couldn't their parents afford a blooming phone? Arc Alexandra Academy in Hastings has taken the altogether more drastic step of imposing a total phone ban on its grounds. And in Northern Ireland, 10 schools are to trial the use of lockable phone pouches to stop youngsters from being distracted in class. That's after a school in Hove rolled them out from the start of the new term. I've seen those things, and I've had to put my phone in one of them at an immersive theatrical experience, and I can report that it is a very good idea. They give you a phone with a strap on it, and you put it around like a crossbody bag thing. You put your phone in, and you don't have to give over your phone because that would cause some concern among the phone owners. So you wear it, but you can't actually access it. It's a brilliant idea. And so you experience the theatre, the show, whatever it is, or the school, whatever it is that you're going to, without this, without the temptation of getting your phone out and videoing things and looking up stuff and, all of that. Posting that I'm at the theatre on social media and stuff like that. You experience it, like they used to in the old days, with your eyeballs. Hey kids, I know you're going to find this a revelation, but if you just get your faces out your phones for 10 seconds, you'll find that there's a whole world out there in high definition and surround sound. Groovy. Check it out, you might like it. Recent studies have suggested a fifth of British teenagers have a problematic relationship with their mobile phone. And I'd have to say that it's way more than that. They can't walk 2 paces without getting their phones out. They check the messages, put their phone away, then walk 10 feet and then get their phones out again to see if they've missed anything. And the reason they're hooked is because the evil, billionaire tech bros who run the world now are deliberately making their phones and the programs that run on them as addictive as possible. It's not an accident. That's why they boop and bing and bong all the time. And they vibrate, and they get likes and smiley emojis and follows, and they can see how well the last post did and how many complete strangers have given them a thumbs up. Basically, it's an am I famous yet measuring device. And the thing they want more than anything in the world is to go viral.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
I'm so glad I did not grow up with these things as a kid. And that they came in after I was a fully grown adult. After I became old. Yeah, that's more like it. Because to have to keep checking the amount of followers that you have to see if you're as popular as your friends must be an absolute living nightmare. Particularly for those that aren't. I mean, it's bad enough for adults. And what will the purveyors of this deliberately addictive stuff get? If it were drugs they were peddling, they'd get time inside. As it's not, they'll get $1 trillion. That's what they'll get. And this is after the Australian government promised to introduce legislation this year to enforce a minimum age for children to access social media. The Prime Minister there, Anthony Albanese, said the government would soon trial age verification technology with a view to banning children from opening social media accounts. The line will be drawn between the ages of 14 and 16. And if 14 and 16-year-olds cannot find a way to get around any impediment that the Australian government puts in between them and social media in about 10 seconds, then you call me stunned. The Netherlands has banned the phones, tablets and smartwatches from classrooms. The French government is trialling the surrender of smartphones by pupils until the end of the school day. It's coming. And that Technology Secretary, Peter Carl, said he was looking very closely at the Australian experience. I think they really need to watch the phrases that they use. We're looking at it very strongly, with great strength. But, if they do ban them in school, it just means the kids will probably be spending their every waking moment outside school catching up on all that vital stuff they missed during the day. That's the nature of addiction. Take someone's heroin away from them during the day and they'll forego sleeping to take it all night long. All night long they'll be dancing on the ceiling like Lionel Richie.
Rock and roll!
0345 6060 973. Let's see now. Heston, Isaac.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
It's you again. Blimey. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is that better?
Well, press on and we'll find out.
Okay, number one, whatever. That should be a hotkey, okay?
Yeah, okay. All right.
Should be a hotkey. Number two, Randall and Hopkirk. I remember it well. I was in my early to mid-teens when it was on. It was Marty Hopkirk and Jeff Randall.
Yes.
And your previous caller was right. Marty Hopkirk, I forgot his name. Oh, yeah, Something Hope. He had a role in Carry On Up Your Convenience, which was about... a union-based toilet making factory.
Yes.
So, and number three, right? I was listening to James O'Brien on a Wednesday morning, and oh my God, I thought the guy played a blinder. He explained GDP to the listeners. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, well, you can tell me if you think it's brilliant. He said, right, there are two rooms, and each room has 100 people in it. There are 100 people in each room. Room one, right, okay, out of 100 people, 2 are millionaires, right, and 2 are millionaires, and the other 98 people have 50p each. So their GDP is £2,049,000, right? And he says the other room has got 100 people in, each of them £15,000 each, meaning their total GDP is £1.5 million. So which room would you rather be in? And then he says, that's why I studied at the London School of Economics. Oh, goodness me.
You're fit to burst. And that was James O'Brien who said that, or a caller?
So James O'Brien, he said it in hour 2. Right. I checked. I watched it again on YouTube, right? And hour 2, and I thought to myself, what a brilliant explanation. He has sorted out my understanding of economics, and he ended it by saying, right, he says, when we talk about GDP, we should really be talking about GDP per capita.
Yes.
Right?
I don't think that you've actually explained GDP. I think you've explained wealth distribution.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, I understand. But anyway, I've been doing some studies, and I just feel, my goodness me, I feel all the better for it. I even went online and typed in what is GDP per capita. You know, and
what is it? And even that doesn't tell you the full story, because GDP per capita is probably about, I don't know, let's say £40,000 per person. But and that's an average. But an average is a very blunt instrument with which to tell the full story, and it very much depends on what average you are talking about. Because in that scenario, you could say that in the room with the millionaire in it, that the average wage in that room is absolutely stratospheric. It looks as though, if you just do an average, that everybody in that room is doing fantastically well. But they aren't, of course. It's one bloke who's doing fantastically well, and everybody else is freezing to death, and they can't eat either.
That's what James O'Brien was saying. Well, right. That's what I think he was saying. But if you get a chance, either ask or listen to James O'Brien again. It was in hour 2, and I thought it was brilliant.
It blew your mind.
Yowza.
All right. Leave it with me, Isaac, and I will have a full report on your desk first thing in the morning. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. This text says, ha, 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 ah. 5 A's on the end and an exclamation mark. What a load of lefty claptrap. Personal assaults are strong on LBC in a particular direction! Exclamation mark. Don't mention the gigantic mess the socialists have made in such a short time frame! 4 exclamation marks. Without opposition to the current mess, you've no material! 3 exclamation marks. Well, I appreciate you giving me material.
Thank you.
Pat says, let's tell the pensioners they can have their fuel allowance back, but will have to rejoin the EU. I bet they'd choose to have their sovereignty served cold. Like I said, we appear to have started a war between the ages. Maria says, you just mentioned the Persuaders. You won't believe this, but as a kid, we watched the Persian voiceover of the series before the 1978 Iranian Revolution. I was a kid at the time, but I loved the duo. I never knew that I would become a British citizen many years later and now be listening to your show every week as an expat in Munich. Blimey, you've been all over the shop. Such a shame about Iran. I mean, it's such a beautiful country. And it was so liberated and free before, everything happened. And it's such a young country as well. I mean, by which I mean the people in it they skew very young. It's youthful, and they want the same things that we do. They want all of the same things that we do. They want to be free, and they want to be happy, and they want to fall in love, and they want to listen to music, and they want to go out and have a good time, and all of that's totally verboten. They can't do any of that because some dribbling idiots at the top said so. Those people. Give it another 1,000 years and maybe they'll get their act together. Well, maybe things do happen just like that. Maybe give them a year, could be a month, and they'll sling all those people out on their ear. Deborah in Greenock says, Nick, you do have a in to Clarkson's life. He's just opened a pub. Go visit him for a libation or two and get all of the gossip.
Booze?
No. It's miles away. I'm not going all the way over there. Just stand in line for a pint. Pulled by somebody who isn't Jeremy Clarkson. I mean, you think he's going to be standing behind the bar serving people salted nuts? Of course not. When the cameras are there, I would imagine so. And every now and again, perhaps, but when you go, probably not. And on that subject, Nadia says, Nick, will Jeremy Clarkson do a new series about the pub that he bought that's driving him mad? Hope so. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's what the next series is going to be about. But I think that we're going to have to wait till next year to see it, which is just annoying. So many people told me that was such a great show, and because it's about farming, and I thought, well, that doesn't sound remotely interesting. Farming? Who wants to watch a program about farming? Because there's a lot of programs on TV that are about farming. Ostensibly they're about nature, but they do a lot of farming content. And I've never watched a single solitary second of any of them. So I'm not remotely interested about farming. But I do like, I have a soft spot for Jeremy Clarkson. I think he's made some of the best British television programme of the last couple of decades. So I thought, oh, all right then. And I was instantly hooked. But nothing much happens in it. He just potters around and he has arguments with these local yokels and a fight with the council and so on. But you get so utterly hooked on it, well, I did, that you couldn't wait to consume it whole. And when it all ended, having watched three series of it now, I did come to the end of it, and I can't remember any other programme that made me think like this. I thought, well, hang on a minute, what happens now? Where's the rest of it? Why isn't he making one of these things every week? I mean, he's living his life. Why aren't people following him around with a camera? What about me? I thought. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Yeah! Dude!
I should remind you that this podcast, or this show, and the Friday night show gets put up the internet as a podcast. Now, the way to listen to it is on Global Player. It's only on Global Player, and it's called Nick Abbot, The Whole Show Podcast. And the idea is that we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to, so you'll use less electricity, and by that method help to save the planet. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. It's called Nick Abbot, The Whole Show Podcast. The Friday and Saturday night shows get stuck up the internet. I think you'll love it. Sevenoaks, Mark.
Hi, are you talking to me?
I don't see anybody else here. Am I talking to you? Are you talking to me?
Absolutely. Yes. I was wondering if you could enlighten us as to why the current group of politicians are saying that we need to regain the trust of the EU. I mean, I would understand it if they were Rishi Sunak or Boris Johnson. They certainly need to do that. But the current bunch have never been against the EU.
No. Who's saying that they need to who's saying that?
Well, the Liberals, the Labour Party, I think.
Right.
They're saying that sort of...
To regain the trust of the EU. Yeah. The EU will never trust us again. Not now, not ever, never. I mean, if we do renegotiate our deal with them, which we absolutely should, because that melting candle gave us a catastrophic deal. It was so bad that he himself has been complaining about his own work ever since, in a column in the blooming Telegraph, if you please. But, they might allow us back in a little bit, but I'm sure that they will. Their expert negotiators will make sure that we can't screw it up again.
Well, the point is that there isn't a lack of trust between the people who will want to be in the EU and the EU. I mean, for example, certainly there's a problem of instability. If we had proportional representation, we would never have had the referendum.
Yeah.
If proportional representation was introduced after the referendum, in 2019 we would have had a second referendum which would have stopped Brexit.
Yeah, the problem with the future is that the European Union know that we are an unstable lot. And if come the next election or the one after that, or within 3, certainly, I'll bet money on it, that we will be faced with another Tory government, and they will probably, if the Labour Party get close to the European Union, then they will campaign on getting us further away from the European Union, and the EU know that now. We're not to be trusted, so they will treat us with caution, I betcha.
Well, they were certainly all in favour of extending the transition period by 2 years. They certainly liked the old deal because they tried very hard to keep it. And I think that if we had proportional representation, the circumstances you're talking about wouldn't have arisen.
But we're never going to have proportional representation because the party that would be able to enact that would be the ones that are in power. And they're not going to want to give up any of their power. So it's never going to happen.
Well, they could replace the leader. After all, when a party's in power, it's the members of that party that determines the leader.
Yeah.
And you have, for example, Guy Verhofstadt, there's going to be another march to rejoin the EU on the 28th. Last year, his view about us rejoining the EU was summed up in the words, "We're waiting for you." So, there's plenty of encouragement being given.
They're waiting for us to screw it up again, and I'm sure that we will be able to oblige them in that regard momentarily. Yeah, I wouldn't hold out much hope for that, Mark. I think that we have condemned ourselves to a poorer, more miserable future, but at least we've got our country back. Gotta go. Thanks, Mark. 0345 6060 973. This text says, in answer to somebody a while ago who was giving us positive things that the Tories had done, it only took him 9 weeks to come up with 3 suggestions, one of which was the gay marriage thing under the Conservative administration, I think under David Cameron. This text says, the majority of the Conservatives voted against gay marriage. They had to rely on Labour to get it through. Is that right? Will text, I don't think I would mind too much if anyone ate my cat. At least I would not be woken up at 4 a.m. with him walking on my face. Yeah, cats do that. What are they thinking? They walk on your face. What's that about? It must be something like, well, he's not paying attention to me at this moment, so he will be if I do this. Penny says Mike Pratt in Randall and Hopkirk his son is Guy Pratt of Pink Floyd fame. Is that a fact? Yeah, Guy Pratt, that's the bassist that Dave Gilmour had, or has, perhaps, still, don't know. And he came in after Dave Gilmour couldn't stand to share the same stage with Roger Waters, and vice versa. Why can't old rock and rollers just get along, eh?
Rock and roll!
What's wrong with them? Watford, Janet.
Hello?
Yes, Janet.
Oh, my God, you're so funny with the cats.
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah, so what I was going to say was the phone box. Do any children know what phone boxes are?
It's a urinal. That's right in the street, yeah.
Yeah, well, I knew where it was, but the kids nowadays don't know where they are, do they?
What? Are there any left?
No. I really don't know what... I mean, my grandchildren, I will say to them, oh, you know, can you get the phone? And they'll just pick up a mobile phone and make a phone call. And I'm like, well, we used to have to run down the phone box.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and you used to have the right change, and you'd put the receiver...
And dial a disc.
You'd dial a disc. Yeah, oh, now you're talking. You'd put the receiver... You'd put it towards your ear, and then you'd look at it and think, oh, God, what have people been doing? How can you have that much wax in your ear that it spreads all over the earpiece of a public phone?
Well,
it was
honestly,
disgusting.
Horrible, weren't they?
Awful, yeah.
And there was that awful smell, weren't there, when you walked in? It was just like...
Yeah.
But that was the only way to make a phone call in those days, wasn't it?
And so because of that, if you were going to use that, you really needed to make that call. It wasn't just, oh, yeah, what you doing? No, not much. You know, none of that. It was vital information you were imparting, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh. And as for the cats, my cats walk all over me all night.
Well, that's your fault, I expect, for leaving the door open. Isn't it?
Anyway,
Yes.
it's nice to speak to you,
And
darling.
you, Janet. Thanks a lot for that. 0345 6060 973. Mujahideen. No. Mujahid texts Eve of Destruction by Barry Maguire. Good old-fashioned hippie protest song, as relevant then as it is today. Yeah, that's right. All of those 60s protest songs are pretty relevant now. I mean, nothing's much changed. Nothing much positive, anyway. Leonara in Chinham says, your caller Jeff is... Oh, no, it's just jumped around. Where is it? Where's that gone? Your caller Jeff is right. Buddy St. Marie is brilliant. Listen to Soldier Blue and Star Walker as well. It's not homework, as you'll love it. No, it does sound like homework to me. Sounds suspiciously like homework to me. Let's see now. Aberdeen, David.
Hi there, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, so I can't get over this obsession that the Republicans seem to have with cats and cat ladies.
Yeah.
And earlier in the show, you said that they'd be desperate to find some evidence of this cat eating. And actually, I found there was a news story just a couple of hours ago saying that there's a $5,000 bounty for proof of this.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Already.
Not because that's their problem, is they won't admit a mistake. They will just double down and hope that A, nobody checks on it, and B, that it will eventually become true if they just keep saying it is.
Yeah, and J.D. Vance already thinks he's found some, so he's been posting about a video about some African migrants grilling cats, barbecuing cats in the garden last year.
Right, yeah.
It's already been debunked, and people are saying, it's clearly chicken, you weirdo.
Yeah, they really are having a problem getting rid of that weirdo tag.
Yeah, it's sticking.
It really is,
for good reason. And Trump's had a weirdo on his plane. Have you heard of this Laura Loomer?
Laura Loomer, yeah, I mean...
conspiracy theorist.
Good grief. He had her on the plane and showing up at an event for 9/11 in New York. And she is a 9/11 conspiracy theorist, like publicly stating that she thought that 9/11 was an inside job, and that's the date that Donald Trump took to a 9/11 event. Good grief!
Crazy,
yeah,
and she's even pissed off. Excuse my language. She's even managed to annoy Marjorie Greene.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
She says as well that if Harris gets into the White House, it's going to stink of curry because she's of Indian heritage.
Yes.
and it'll be set up as an international call centre.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is who Trump wants to hang around with.
Yeah, but other than that, she's a lovely person. Yeah.
Lovely, yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, David. 0345 6060 973. I mean, just extraordinary, the stuff that's going on over there at the moment. I mean, the Republican Party are having a total meltdown, and this Laura Loomer person is just exactly who you'd expect him to be hanging around with. I mean, if you don't know anything about her, then you just know this. An array of Republicans from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to Senator Lindsey Graham have denounced this Laura Loomer, who appears to be Donald Trump's new squeeze. Marjorie Taylor Greene called her past remarks appalling and extremely racist. Now, if you know anything about Marjorie Taylor Greene, you will be coughing up your dinner. I mean, I'll give you an idea of what she's like. This is the sound of Marjorie Taylor Greene at her most cogent, clear and logical. It's like being told you're underdressed by Kanye West's girlfriend. I'll leave you to do further research.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. 0345 6060 973. This text says the answer to the world, the universe and everything is not 42. It has been revealed this evening to be whatever. I suppose I'm going to have to cut that guy up and use that frequently. That happened right at the beginning of the show. And if you missed that, then that will be on the podcast. The podcast of this show gets put up the internet almost the moment it has finished. And the thing to look for is Nick Abbott, The Whole Show podcast. Let's have the Wirral, Nora.
Hi, Nick.
Nora.
I hate to tell you this, but I'm in Catalonia at the moment and it's very warm.
No, you're in Catalonia, did you say?
Yes.
And it's very, really warm, very warm. Well, thank you, Nora, but we do not wish to know that.
Oh, okay. Thought I'd share. Anyway, phone boxes, OMD. Do you know the band OMD?
Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark?
Yes, and there's a very famous phone box near my house when I'm in the UK. And it's been made into a monument to them because of a song lyric. If you look it up, it's really interesting.
Well, what's the song lyric?
I've no idea. I've no idea what to do. I just looked at this phone box near me.
Well, I certainly am glad that you brought that to our attention. You've got absolutely no idea.
I drive past it every day and I thought, I must look that up one day and wonder what the significance is.
Is it a real old red phone box?
Yeah. Right. It's been done up, and I think it's an album cover or something. Somebody will read it.
Oh, perhaps, right. So why is it still there then? Because there aren't many of those around.
Well, it was a song lyric, apparently, And they tried to get rid of it because people kept ringing it up because of this song lyric.
Yeah.
And then the fans apparently objected, and it's been restored. But it's all decorated up. It's still there. It's all functioning.
And so they kept it there because of orchestral manoeuvres in the dark.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe because there's a lot of them in central London. Not a lot, but there are some in very obvious places in central London. I mean, I think there's some in Parliament Square and there's some around, important and famous buildings that tourists might want to take a picture of. And so that sort of speaks of Britain and London, doesn't it? But that's pretty cool that they did that, huh?
Yeah. Obviously, if you look it up, it's all colourful and yellow. All the windows have been decorated.
Wait a minute, yellow?
Yellow, and I'm looking at it now. There's a picture of it on the internet. Yeah. I'm guessing that's an album cover.
Right. Okay. So what's the weather going to be like tomorrow in Kefalonia then, Nora?
I've got to leave tomorrow. We had a thunderstorm the other night. That wasn't that was nice, interesting. But it's been a bit windy. I think it's on the change now, so it's probably a good time to come back.
And are you going back to the Wirral?
I am.
Do you know what? Do you want me to tell you what the weather's going to be like tomorrow?
Nope.
That's the right answer. Yeah. No, you don't. No, but prepare yourself, Nora.
Okay.
Okay then. All right. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Let me see now. I am running out of time. This says, Nick, I have been blamed tonight for the pensioners' fuel allowance being cut. I draw the line now, however, because I have also been accused of ending the world. Blimey, Starmer, slow it down a bit. Us Labour voters are getting spanked out here. Yeah, that's right. Bodmin. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello, Nick.
Malcolm.
Nick, I'd like you to run me through the process by which you come to like Jeremy Clarkson, because I cannot fathom it. It's like you admitting there that you like reading Boris Johnson's column.
No, you've gone too far now, Malcolm.
Oh, let me say why.
Well, have you ever watched any of his programmes?
I watched a little bit of the one, and it was the one with the Lamborghini tractor. Now, There's a story in itself. A fella who screws up pretty much the careers of two other fellas by punching the producer of the show, lives in a Chipping Norton, is best pals with David Cameron, runs a pub which he claims is literally losing him £10 for every drink he sells, and a farm which is, again, merely a vehicle for selling himself. I mean, it's as you said, the benefits to farming are literally zero. So,
I'm not sure that's true. I mean, all I know is what I've seen on the. I sound like Donald Trump now. All I know is what I see on TV.
Yeah.
But he does appear to be a good farmer in that he's not using vast amounts of pesticide and he's trying to treat the land well, and he seems to be good to his animals. And whether he is actually, producing a vast amount of food for the country is another thing entirely.
Well, the one thing I do know, and on a more serious note, one of the things I do know about it, because I did read about it when it all started, was the boy who actually runs the farm for him. And then I think he takes the whole thing seriously. He is fairly qualified as a farmer. I want to swear on it. So, that's one aspect maybe. The boy who actually is the show, he is the farm.
Right.
Because Clarkson isn't.
But no, of course not. No, but Clarkson probably gets helicoptered out to go to do the car show. I know that's finished now, but he had to do all of that, and he's got the columns and the books probably, and all the rest of it. He's a busy bloke, but that's his actual input on the farm may or may not start and end with when the cameras roll. I don't know, but that doesn't make any difference to my enjoyment of that show.
I think if you'd have gone to Bodmin Moor or maybe Exmoor or the Welsh, the Black Mountains or the to Cumbria and, made a go of it and shown the actual life of farmers, that would have been a worthwhile watch, I think.
I disagree. I disagree. I think he has shown the life of farmers. And one thing that did strike me is I was on a train going up to Wales. Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah, go on.
And I was going past farms. You as soon as you get out of London, you start going through fields, and it's fields and fields and fields. And I look out the train, and my usual thought when I look out and see cows standing in fields and a little bit, some sheep over here, and it all looks very nice. And I thought, that just looks like such a lovely way of life. And then I remembered his TV show, him getting up at, like 3 o'clock in the morning because some lamb can't push a sheep can't push a lamb out of its area, and to call the vet and all of that stuff. And it doesn't rain when it should do, and it does when it shouldn't. And I remembered, actually, it's not a lovely lifestyle. It's a massive amount of work for almost no reward whatsoever.
Which is why, and again, I don't want to be like a total definite as I started. I feel not great about it, but I just think the boy who runs the farm, he the president. But the other issue then is...
But I think you're mixing up two things. You would want... wait a minute, hang on a minute, wait a minute. You would want the boy who runs the farm to run the farm, but would you want to watch a TV programme about him? No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, yeah. But then surely that defeats the object of watching Clarkson on farm, watching Clarkson's farm. Because
it doesn't at all. The object of watching Clarkson's farm is to see Clarkson, because he is innately funny. He is a great TV personality. And having said that, I do disagree with practically every political instinct of his. And I think that the column that he writes in the Sunday Times is gets up my... my goat to the point that I don't really read it anymore. But it seems like outrage to a schedule to me. But on television, name me somebody who has produced more quality British television in the last couple of decades than him. Go ahead.
The list is far too long to me.
I'll make it really easy. Name one person.
The farm he owns, right? There's not a child of a farmer in Britain, a traditional historic farming family. There's not a child who could get anywhere near affording the farm he owns. So
of course not. That's because, I know, and I've said this before, and I had an argument about this with Carol McGiffin on the podcast that we do. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? And she was saying that he does do farming like a proper farmer, and my point is, but he doesn't actually experience the life of a proper farmer because he's worth £55 million. I mean, he experiences the life of a farmer like Dyson experiences the life of a farmer. Not really. He's not concerned. He's not losing sleep at night worrying about one of his sheep dying, which is going to knock his profits out, and he'll end the year having made a loss. That doesn't really concern him very much because he can cope with it. It's just another expense for him. But you have to accept that the farming community seems to have taken him to their hearts, and they love the fact that he has presented the public with easily digestible news and information about how hard is a farmer's life.
Well,
have I beaten you into submission, Malcolm?
No.
No. Well, I'll have to try again. But unfortunately, that is the end. Well, we'll call it we'll call it a draw. How's that sound? 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 How's that sound?